Hello, welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. And today we're going to learn some tricks to help you sound more natural when speaking American English. So let's get started. Today we're going to learn all the pronunciations of the word to. It has quite a few pronunciations, depending on the sounds around it and if the word is stressed. So let's take a closer look. First, let's talk about the most common pronunciation of the word to. The most common pronunciation is t, t. Using the real T sound, release the T, 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 and the relaxed The schwa sound, because the word is not stressed, we use the schwa sound, t, t. Example, they're walking to the park. Walking to the park. Because the word to is not stressed, and it's after a consonant, we pronounce it t. They're walking to the park. They're going to the park. T. They're going to the park. They're not driving to the park. They're walking to the park. To the park. Let's practice. Are they going to the park? That's right. They're going to the park. Are they driving to the park? That's right. They're not driving to the park. Are they walking to the park? That's right. They're walking to the park. You don't have to talk fast, just link the words. They are walking to the park. Another pronunciation of the word to is d. We're using a fast D sound, d, like water bottle, d. And we're using the short schwa sound, d. We pronounce the word to as d when it's not stressed, but it's after a vowel. The word to is not after a consonant, it's after a vowel. Example, fly. The letter Y is a vowel, so if I have to after it, it's pronounced duh. Example, flyda. Or go. O is a vowel, so after go, if we see to, we pronounce it duh. Goda. Flyda. Goda. Example, he needs to fly to New York for work. He needs to, after a consonant we see to, he needs to, flyda. After the vowel sound we hear d, flyda. He needs to fly to New York. He needs to fly to New York. But he can't. He can't go to New York because he's sick. He can't go to. After the vowel, we see the pronunciation d, go to. He can't go to New York. He can't go to work. He's sick. Let's practice. Does he need to fly to New York for work? That's right. He needs to fly to New York for work. Can he go to work? That's right. He can't go to work. He's sick. Let's practice. Do you want to fly to New York? That's right. I want to fly to New York. Can you go to work? Are you sick? That's right. I can go to work. I'm not sick. He's sick. And sometimes we pronounce the word to like this. We say do. That's right. It sounds like the word do, but it's a fast D. Do. We pronounce the word to as do when it's after a vowel and before the schwa, the short schwa sound. For example, a restaurant. When I say a restaurant, is a schwa. If I have to before this and a vowel before to, example, go to a, you see the vowel o in go, there's a vowel before to, and there's a schwa after to. With a restaurant. In this case, we pronounce to like do. Example, go, do, fast D, go to a restaurant. We cannot say go to a restaurant, because when you have the schwa sound together, the schwa in like go to, and then a restaurant, it doesn't link together, They don't link. So I cannot say go to a restaurant. we need to link these sounds, so we use the W, the w sound, to link the long oo, do, go to a restaurant. I want to go to a restaurant. I want to, after a consonant, it's t. I want to go to. We pronounce the to like do, because again, it's after a vowel and before the schwa sound. Go to a. I want to go to a restaurant. Also remember, want to can be pronounced wanna with no T in it. I want to go to a restaurant. Let's practice. Do you want to go to a restaurant? Me too. I want to go to a restaurant. Example, a nice restaurant. Go to a nice restaurant. Same situation. To is after a vowel and before the schwa sound. Go to a nice restaurant. Go to a. I want to go to a nice restaurant. Let's practice. Do you want to go to a nice restaurant? Me too. I want to go to a nice restaurant. Another example, go to an expensive restaurant. We see the schwa sound with the word an expensive restaurant. Go to an expensive restaurant. So we see to is after a vowel and before the schwa sound with un. We cannot say go to. We cannot put together, so we link it with ooh. Go to a nice restaurant. Go to an expensive restaurant. I don't want to go to an expensive restaurant. I want to go to a nice restaurant, but I don't want to go to an expensive restaurant. What about you? Do you want to go to an expensive restaurant? That's right. I don't want to go to an expensive restaurant. Let's practice. Do you want to go to a restaurant? That's right. I want to go to a restaurant. Do you want to go to a nice restaurant? Me too. I want to go to a nice restaurant too. Do you want to go to an expensive restaurant? That's right. I don't want to go to an expensive restaurant. Another pronunciation you might hear is d. This is a shorter version of do, d. You hear this when people are talking fast. It's the same situation. You have a vowel before to and the schwa sound after to. But when people talk fast, sometimes the do changes to d. Example, I want my kids to go to a good school. I want my kids to, after the consonant we hear to go to, This sound is like book and look. When people talk fast, they make the sound a little shorter. Go to a good school. Go to a good school. Of course, you can say go to. I want my kids to go to a good school. Talking fast, go to a. I want my kids to go to a good school. So I didn't go to a good school. My school's okay, but I didn't go to a good school. Go to a good school. So I want my kids to go to a good school. To go to a good school. What about you? Did you go to a good school? Very good. And do you want your kids to go to a good school? That's right. I want my kids to go to a good school too. Now let's look at the same situation where to is before the schwa sound, but before to we have a consonant. In this case, we pronounce to as to because we cannot say t. We have to say to link the sound to the schwa. To with a consonant before to. So example, they went to I cannot say they went to Normally we pronounce to as t when it's not stressed. It's not stressed here, but we have to link it to the schwa sound. So we make the long oo. To They went to a restaurant. They went to a nice restaurant. But they didn't go to an expensive restaurant. Again, with n, to an expensive restaurant. N is the schwa sound, so we need that long oo to link the sounds. To an expensive restaurant. I cannot say they went to They went to an. We can't link those sounds, so we make it oo. They went to an expensive restaurant. Let's practice. Did they go to a restaurant last night? That's right, they went to a restaurant last night. Did they go to a nice restaurant? That's right, they went to a nice restaurant. Did they go to an expensive restaurant? No, they didn't go to an expensive restaurant. And we pronounce the word to as to when the word is stressed. And when is the word stressed? It's stressed when it's at the end of a sentence. Example, what restaurant did they go to? To is at the end of the question, it's at the end of the sentence. So it's stressed, and we pronounce it to for that reason. What restaurant did they go to? The answer? I don't know. I don't know what restaurant they went to. With the answer, we see to is at the end of the sentence, so we stress it, and it's pronounced to. So the question, what restaurant did they go to? And the answer, I don't know. I don't know what restaurant they went to. And this guy, he doesn't know either. He doesn't know what restaurant they went to. Let's practice. Do you know what restaurant they went to? That's right. I don't know what restaurant they went to. Let's practice. Does he know what restaurant they went to? That's right. He doesn't know what restaurant they went to. Another example where we have to at the end of the sentence is a short sentence, like I want to, I have to, I need to. We don't have to complete the idea if everybody knows what the idea is. Example, I told my kids, you have to wash the dishes. And they said, do we have to? I say, yes, you have to. These short sentences end with to, so the to is stressed and we pronounce it to. So examples, they need to wash the dishes. Question, do they really need to? I say, yes, they really need to, but they don't want to wash the dishes. Do you want to? That's right, I don't want to either. And another time that we pronounce the word to as to is in expressions. When we have expressions with the word to in it, to can be stressed. And for that reason, we pronounce it to. Example, go to. This is my go-to recipe. When I have guests come over to my house, I have one recipe that I go to. It's my favorite when I have guests come over to my house. So this is my go-to recipe. It's my go-to dish. This is an expression, so we stress the word to and we pronounce it to. Go to. Lasagna is my go-to dish when friends come over. Lasagna is my go-to recipe. This is my go-to recipe when friends come over. Let's practice. Do you have a go-to recipe? And what is your go-to recipe? Very good. So remember the different pronunciations of to. The most common is t. We pronounce it as t when to is after a consonant and it's not stressed. Example, they're going to the park. T. They're going to the park. They're walking to the park. They're not driving to the park. They're walking to the park. To the park. And sometimes it's pronounced duh when it's not stressed and it's after a vowel. Like go to work, go to work. Fly to New York. He can't go to work. He needs to fly to New York, but he can't go to work. He's sick. And sometimes it's pronounced do when it's after a vowel and before the schwa sound. Like go to a restaurant. Go to a nice restaurant, but don't go to an expensive restaurant. Go to an expensive restaurant. And sometimes when people talk fast, you might hear duh. Go to a good school. Go to a good school. I want my kids to go to a good school. Duh. Go to a good school. And if it's after a consonant, but before the schwa, you'll hear to. They went to a. After a consonant, but before the schwa, to a, linking the sounds. They went to a nice restaurant. And we pronounce it to when it's stressed. And it's stressed when it's at the end of a sentence. I don't know what restaurant they went to. Do you know what restaurant they went to? And with short sentences, Like, do I have to? Yes, you have to. And with expressions, like this is my go-to recipe. We pronounce to as to. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. We'll see you next time.